All right, welcome back to KC Grid Talk, episode number 39. As always, my name is Caleb Vieska. Welcome back to the show. The 2025 season already started this past weekend at Orlando Kart Center. We were all there, and I tell you what, guys, it was a phenomenal time from start to finish. But firstly, got to welcome my co-host who were there also this weekend, Emery Lida and Alexander Searle. As always, joining me here back on KC Grid Talk. Sorry, boys. Firstly, Alex, you were down on pit lane all weekend long. How was the weekend? I guess how was everything kind of going down there? I know you met a couple of new drivers as well this weekend.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, first and foremost, record-breaking numbers. SKUSA Winter Series, 316 entries, I believe, and I want to say the previous record for SKUSA Winter Series was somewhere in the high 270s. So really, really cool stuff for SKUSA. The highest, non-Supernats national event for SKUSA. So that's awesome. Vibes are high. A lot of new faces, right? Especially on the European side. We saw Caden McQueen come over. I know our colleague Henry Bedette's been raving about how good Caden is, and I can't wait to see himself and the entire Energy team, kind of making their return back, full time here in the States, and hopefully going to bring in more and more drivers as the season goes on. I know I saw a lot of Energy carts out there to start the year, so really cool stuff. And Caden obviously left his mark pretty well on the X30 side of things, a podium finish on Sunday. So really, really cool stuff for Caden. Um, and then the rest of the field, right? We'll get into it, but I think this has got to be the year of the rookies, guys. I don't know how you guys feel, but this is as strong of a rookie field as I've seen in probably the last 5 years or so, maybe since, we saw the Morgans come up and Zilich make his way in to the senior and shifter class. But this rookie class is incredible. I can't wait for this season to really fully kick off, and it was awesome.
Emery, you were behind the scenes this past weekend. I guess what'd you see from the replay booth?
A lot of good racing, a lot of battles. I think one of the big things that I always enjoy about Winter Series is it's the chance to have good transitions. We see guys who moved up from mini to junior, guys like Ashton Woon, for example, having a good weekend. We see guys are moving from junior to senior and then from K8 to X30. I think all of those kind of transitions delivered this weekend. We saw some good battles for the win throughout all the classes, some fun racing in all of the junior categories. We saw a phenomenal race both days in Micro Swift, I think was one of the highlights of my weekend. And then who could forget the X30 battles? I mean, having Joe Turney and Ryan Norberg going at it for the win both days, mano a mano, to me, it was a special weekend of racing. And I mean, really, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back on the national scene. Orlando for Winter Series has a little bit of a different vibe to it than Miami did over the last couple of years, but certainly to see everyone back, to see record numbers this weekend, over 300 entries, and probably the strongest X30 field we've had in a long time during the regular season was special. And hey, I got another smoothie, so all is well.
Bang, bang! Emery got a smoothie. Well, I guess I'll tell you what, guys. This past weekend was, I think, some of the best racing that we saw across the board. Micro Swift, 2 back-to-back banging races this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Marcelo Flores and Lennox Lockhart going at it there. And that's kind of what you get whenever a star like Zane Burgess kind of moves up to the mini Swift class. You get more and more stars start to kind of emerge in the class. And I think that's what we saw. You talked about the year of the rookies. We're trying to see a couple of sophomores also, kind of start to shine in the classes that they were already in. I know a couple of Texas kids also shined this weekend. Bertie Stoffel got his first national podium this past weekend. And the list goes on and on. Same thing in mini Swift, right? Zane Burgess was strong. Maxwell Macho we saw be strong. You had Aston White, also one of the guys that was up there. Jaden Francisco was working inside of the top 15. Liam Nachawati from last all the way up to first this weekend. You got to give a shout out to these young guns that are kind of putting on a show as well. Talk about the rookies, obviously in X30. KA was still interesting. It was an interesting class. Kai Hunter kept it interesting for sure, as well as some of the other guys that were kind of up there and running. Ty Fisher had a great weekend, and the list goes on and on. In X30 Junior as well. Tony Olo and Alexander Vanchev were kind of up there all weekend long, as well as a couple of other young guns that were kind of working their way up the field. Lucas Palacio got his first junior win as well. So, Alex was talking about the year of the rookie, but I think it's the year of the sophomore. The year of all the sophomore drivers starting to kind of show show what they got, kind of pull their weight. So I just think some of the sophomores did a really, really good job this past weekend. And again, X30 and Shifter obviously, it was all about the Burrell Arts. X30 was honestly, it was great. Sound the alarms. X30 Racing is back in the United States. Everybody thought that the Miami X30 package, wouldn't be as strong this year, but it proved everybody wrong. And that package, honestly, is back and better than ever. You had a lot of great racing this past weekend. Joe Turney, Ryan Norberg, obviously, always going to be some great battles. Caden McQueen, I think the next best thing to come out of the UK, since obviously Joe Turney, I think Fish and Chips. And then you have Caden Lightning McQueen coming out here. We were trying to get him to say Kachow all weekend long. He would not say it, but it was a great weekend, fellas, and I am super, super excited to kind of break it down here today as well. I went on there for a little bit, but I'm excited. A lot of the young guns started to show their weight. Every single class of racing, I think, was great. Mini Swift, Micro Swift, X30 Junior, KA Junior, to the pros, to the senior categories. I don't know what you guys thought, but that's kind of my spiel here to get the show started off.
What do we think our favorite race of the weekend was?
Oh, there was a lot of good ones.
Round one, I think round one micro or round two X30 senior. Those are the two to me. I think round one Micro Swift was one of the cleanest, most fun races to watch in quite some time, actually. And the fact that it's the youngest class that SKUSA offers to put on a show like that, a clean mono fight between Flores and Lockhart, who are going to be probably the two titans of that class. There's a couple more in Micro Swift that are emerging, and it's only going to get stronger as the year goes on. That's how Micro just tends to be. But for Lennox and for Marcelo to put on the show like that was awesome. And then honestly, both rounds of X30 Senior. But round two of X30 Senior, for many reasons, was an incredible race. And it's the first race of the year, and it's argument. I could see this being like in our, KC Awards at the end of the year for race of the year. I could already see it. Maybe even moment of the year with how that last lap unfolded. So a lot to unpack there, and I know we're going to get into it, but I think those are my two favorite races of the weekend.
Yeah, I think for me, I looked through the weekend as a whole. I want to shout out round one of Mini Swift, because for Benja to come back and take that win, halfway through the race, you would have thought no shot. So the amount of changes in that one, I think an underrated one as well, just through the drama and everything, was round two of X30 Junior. The one, Tony Ola got the penalty after the race. Palacio ended up winning it off of countback, but that was one where you kind of had more of the X30 style suspense-based driving. And then as well as that too, for everything being a dominant Danny win during the weekend, Shifter round two was kind of underrated in my book, because you saw Bailiff get out to the lead, a chaotic start, both Formal and Morgado having to come back through the field. I think that the last 5 or 6 laps was a little bit anticlimactic, but up until that point, you had those two working their way up. You had Morgado kind of on the chase, and Formal ultimately able to hold him off and continue up with this hot streak heading into the second round of 2020 of the Winter Series.
How about Formal, huh?
I'm kidding.
That was impressive.
I gotta say, I called it.
Yeah.
I mean, to step into a brand new chassis, it's Danny Formal, so there's not a whole lot of shock to it. But to step into a new chassis against a guy that pretty much owned Shifter last year on that exact chassis, impressive. I think Mateus had some gremlins all weekend long, ever since happy hour. But for Danny to go out there, dominate race one, I know Mateus had issues going on with the motor, but then race two, to have that comeback drive through the field, not really through the field, but he was over 2 seconds back of Bailiff. I know Mateus had to fight his way back through as well, but he just looked like he was always in control of the Shifter class. There was really never a doubt. Maybe for 2 laps to start round two, and Bailiff got the really big lead, and you're like, oh, there's no way he can, surmount this. And then he did it.
With the lap cart too, I'd say that was the one part where I looked at it, I was like, oh, I don't know if he's in control on this one.
But it was unbelievable.
Got red shelled a little bit there.
Hey, we're getting into all that later on in the show, but it was honestly great. There's a lot of storylines coming out of the weekend too. But I think we should just kind of dive right into it, boys. X30 and Shifter. Let's, I guess, start with X30 and the biggest notable back-to-back days. Ryan Norberg, Joe Turney going at it. Joe won both of the days, and yeah, I guess let's kind of dive right into it, fellas. Alex, Emery, what do you guys got?
Well, I think before we even get into it, we should kind of just roll the tape a little bit. We're not going to really play round one. Round one was a back and forth battle between Turney and Norberg. Ultimately, Turney getting the upper hand on Ryan. Round two, this was the race where I think watching it, and if you were a part of it, you felt like this was Ryan's race. This was the one he was going to get. He was going to break his ducky, right? He was going to beat Turney. This is going to be the start of Ryan kind of getting back at Turney. Unfortunately for Ryan, obviously the last lap didn't go the way he would have wanted. Let's roll the tape here.
Maybe a kart length and a half. Big run, though, out of the turn number 9 for Turney. Can he dive it down to the apex of turn number 10? He cannot, but Norberg does have to cover a little bit. Xander will work their way out of turn number 10, back to the complex of 11 and 12. There he is right now. You know he's going to cover to the bottom, deep into the corner. He goes way wide on the exit, and he doesn't get the job done. Turney goes back to P1.
Joe Turney's done it again. Sweep of the weekend. Ryan Norberg in the last turn sends it too deep on the brakes, and an over-under for Joe Turney. And he shoots the arrow to the crowd. Bullseye for the 58.
Well, I actually just got chills again watching that, especially with the kind of the arrow, I think, from Turney was the dagger of it all. But for me, I think there's a lot to unpack. And Emery, I want to kind of hear your perspective on it first on this. Where do you think this lap went wrong for Ryan?
Well, I think, okay, if we can play back the tape here, I think this would be the easiest way to describe it. So Norberg comes out of turn number 9, gets a fairly good exit here. He's got about a kart length and a half. He looks back and sees Turney 2 kart lengths behind him. And at this point down the straightaway, doesn't look back again. I think he maybe overestimated the draft effect a little bit and felt the need to go a little bit down and fade. And quite honestly, to me, this is a little bit of a cardinal sin from Ryan Norberg on the entrance to this corner, because that fade to the bottom is not really dissuading Turney from sending it at all. Like, it's not going to prevent a deep lunge from Turney. And it also puts him out of position here. Now, if we play it a little bit further, he does a nice job rotating the kart there. At the center point of the corner, he's not really lost much by going defensive. And this looks fine. At this point on the exit of the corner, you would say we're in pretty good shape to get a decent exit. You might lose a little bit of momentum just because of the placement of your kart on the entry, but you're not going to be really under threat. But as we switch cameras here, and you can see Caleb had this shot on the exit. Bang. Right there, you can see just as we switch to it, Norberg drops a tire on exit. And
for those who haven't driven this track, the exit curbing there is like metal graded, so you actually want to avoid it in comparison to the other exit curbs, and so it tends to cost you time.
Yeah, it also kind of has a pulling effect away from the exit of the corner. So in this case, I looked back on this moment a few times when I was doing the replay package and when I had a little bit of time to kind of spare. And Norberg gets on the gas, in my opinion, by the way that the kart reacts, a few feet too early, and it just unsettles the kart enough to wash him out wider than any other lap that you would really see from Norberg this race. And so while the defensive move didn't really cost him, the exit that he took, the kind of overdriving of it, cost him a lot of momentum. And now he looks back, and Turney comes into the chicane basically right on his bumper. So what was a 2 kart length gap is now completely gone, basically. You get in the final chicane, you see Norberg at this point is down on the inside curving. He goes fully defensive, understandably so, because at that point, Turney's well within lunging range. And again, you get to the center point of the corner, and Norberg, once again, I think dumps the gas here a bit too early, because if you look at his line compared to everyone else that goes through the corner, right? So at 21 seconds, he goes into the corner on the curving. That's the defensive line. he washes out a full line higher than Caden McQueen in third and Diego Ramos in fourth. And in doing so, it's an avoidable point. If he just parks the bus there, there's no real crossover lane for Joe Turney. We saw it numerous times all weekend long. People were able to defend the crossover there. So Norberg in that case made the right decision to defend, made the wrong decision, I think, to get on the gas a bit too early. And so on both of the last two real traction zones, Norberg gets on the gas too soon. And at that point, Turney, right place, right time, positioned his cart perfectly. And again, I mean, in fairness to Joe Turney, I don't want to make this sound like this was just Ryan kind of falling apart down the stretch of the race, because it wasn't. You know, Turney put in a phenomenal last lap of the race. If you watch back to what he did on the last half of the lap right before we cut this, I mean, look at the amount of time he gains through turn 8. It's insane. He comes into that corner 3 cart lengths back. And by the time he gets to the apex of turn 9, he's basically halved that gap. So Joe Turney putting it all on the line, as he mentioned, basically clipping the barriers multiple occasions, gave him that chance. And then from there, he just won another chess match against Ryan, which unfortunately for Ryan Norberg has been a theme of his when racing against Joe Turney.
I think before I give my answer, I do want to play what Turney and Ryan had to say after this race, because it was obviously 2 very different emotions coming out of these 2 drivers. And, you know, it's just one of those things where obviously a disheartened Ryan and an in shock Turney. I was down there on the grid. I've never seen a driver look that shocked in quite some time after a race. So I think I'm going to roll the tape here. We're going to start with Ryan, actually.
He's really quick in the end. So, you know, I got out to the lead and I just was going to control the pace from out there, and really, you know, they were catching me a lot in the braking zones, but I was really trying to conserve my cart for the end of the race, and we did everything right. I just messed it up in the last corner, just overblocked and got too much curb and understeered off. So, yeah, we had everything to do it, just messed it up.
I gave everything. Like, I hit 4 or 5 walls out there just trying to get back to Ryan. I risked everything. I think you probably saw that on the stream as well. Like, hit the wall in 1, hit the wall in 3, hit the wall through here in the last chicane. I just gave everything, and yeah, had it been a lap shorter, I wouldn't have got there. So yesterday, me and Ryan had it out, and then today it was more than just us 2. We had Caden there, Diego was there, Colin was there as well. So it was complicated. It was like tactical, and yeah, it was a lot going on.
But this rivalry, friendly rivalry, obviously, between you and Ryan has just blown up throughout the years. Where does this rank amongst them?
Yeah, one of the top ones for sure. I mean, like, it's been going on a while now. I'd pretty much like come to terms that I had lost that one then. But yeah, I managed to clean the dirt off the tires onto the last lap, and then yeah, I think he over-defended a bit in the last turn and managed to get it.
Okay, well, there's lots to unpack, obviously, in those 2 interviews as well. But from Ryan's perspective, pretty simple, right? He summed up what you had said, Emery. And to me, it's defending into the hairpin. It was kind of a moot point. I mean, like you mentioned, if you're going to defend. If you're going to half defend, just stick to your line, because Turney could have lunged if he wanted to. But I think he was too far back. I really do think he was too far back. And like Turney had said, I mean, he had come to terms. He'd lost the race. You go into the last corner of the S's, and the best way to defend it, as long as you dive to the inside early, right? If you commit to your line off the second curb, and then, you know, grab a little bit inside curb, usually you have the corner. It's hard to get a crossover done there because of how wide the exit is. You can actually get the power really early and not lose as much ground as you would have on a normally, you know, designed corner like a hairpin. With Ryan, you can see when they enter the final corner, Turney's on his bumper through the S's. Now, Turney might have gotten on the brakes slightly sooner, but Ryan charged into that final corner. So I think more than getting on the throttle too soon, it was a combination of power too soon on the exit and getting too much rotation, but also just driving in too hard. And that's why Turney had said in the interview, listen, over-defended, charged in too hard. It allowed for him to get the over-under. But the highlight Emery's point, to me, the biggest point of that entire lap, it's safe to say it was a conservative final lap from Ryan, which, fair. right? Because it's one of those, if you looked back in the final lap, you'd say, listen, I have a 5-6 kart length advantage over Joe Turney. There's no way he catches up to me. And you can see Ryan actually avoiding some curbs. Maybe it was a mistake because heading into the turn 8-9 complex where Turney grabbed both walls on the inside, Ryan missed the curbs. And that's where Turney really got his advantage heading onto the back straightaway. Now you can see how much curb Turney actually takes into the turn 8-9 complex, to the point where we don't get it on the camera fully, but you could see that he grabbed the wall. He was half a car on that curbing, and the barrier stops basically dead on the curbing. So Turney risked everything for that final lap, right? So it was a perfect storm. Ryan slightly too conservative, and Turney giving it absolutely everything. I kind of love the final answer from Turney of, this is up there in rivalries, and I think it's going to be for a while. And this to me, I don't want to say is the turning point, because I like looking at this as a friendly rivalry, and not that it's not friendly, because you could see we didn't get it in the full clip, but Ryan, gave Turney a fist bump after the race.
Respect.
It's respect, no matter what. But at some point, and there already is frustration, but at some point, Ryan's gonna, really do everything to not let this happen. And that's where I'm kind of rubbing my hands together. As this season progresses, this Joe Turney and Norberg battle is only going to get stronger. And at the top of their game, I can't wait for next round, because I don't think Ryan lets that happen again.
See, I look at it though, and I almost think that Ryan being so focused on Turney in that case seemed a bit counterintuitive.
It's my turn, Emery.
All right.
My turn.
I come back in a minute.
All right, yeah, come back. All right, these guys just went on for about 20 minutes talking about curbs here, curbs there, exit, entry. I'll tell you what actually happened. This rivalry's been going on for about a year. This is, I think, more about just driving. We know those two guys are probably the best that we have kind of racing in the U.S. It's turned into a mental game at this point. That's the reality of things here for everybody watching at home. You could talk about entry, exit, curb, unsettling, whatever. It's a mental game now. And that's exactly what happened. Ryan, honestly, I think the best driver that we have in the modern era here in the United States. 9-time champion, that stuff's unheard of. Unheard of. But you have a guy that's kind of starting to challenge you, starting to kind of take the fight to you on, I guess, a backyard that's been yours for about 9 years, more than that, at every single team that you're at. And that's exactly what you're getting now. It's kind of turned into a mental game when a guy shows up in 2023 and beats you at every single race. And I think now for Ryan, what he needs is just to kind of, I guess, settle down a little bit, and he's going to be right there. But this is, I think, turned more into a mental game. Ryan had that race in the bag, sadly, and I think in the last corner, it kind of just fell apart for him, thinking that Joe was going to go for a move. And I'm not going to, I guess, say more about it, but I think that's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what we saw on Sunday afternoon. And I still think Ryan did a great job, considering that he wasn't even supposed to run the opening round. Kai Hunter was actually registered in X30 Pro, and then the X30 seat was given to Ryan, and then Kai dropped back to KA. But I think that's exactly what happened. I'll let these boys, I guess, keep kind of diving into it. But that's what I saw from I guess from where I was watching that race. Fellas, I'll let you boys continue here.
Yeah, well, I think there's a fair point on the mental game where, like, Ryan at this point came into Sunday, and where he said on Saturday that he wasn't going to white line the whole race, and he was kind of conservative with his white lining, and that's why it was more of a back and forth race. Tried to make it a pack race on Sunday. He blocked for half the race, basically, white lined it, brought Caden McQueen, brought Colin Lloyd, brought Diego Ramos, even brought guys like James Overbeck kind of back into the fight. Yeah. And that's a new strategy from Ryan. After everything we've seen in the last year and a half, 2 years of Ryan Norberg racing, for him to kind of bring a race to be sort of a guerrilla fight, in a sense, that was something that I hadn't seen from Ryan. And it's something that we'd actually mentioned on Saturday night when we were back at the Airbnb talking about kind of how Ryan Norberg wins races. I can't recall the last time Ryan sort of created just an all-out scrap and brawl for the lead and won a race like that. And so it's already a different tactic from him. the last half of that lap, I mean, as you see, Riley Can, one of our KC crew guys, says might see a scary Ryan from here on out, chip on his shoulder. My
I
thing
agree.
is Ryan's had a chip on his shoulder for a while. You know, you go back to the opening round of Winter Series last year when David Land interviewed him, and Ryan still felt like it wouldn't feel satisfied. He wouldn't feel satisfied until Joe Turney came back. And we're a year later, and it sucks, but Ryan still hasn't beat him head-to-head in a race. The last time Ryan finished ahead of Joe Turney in a main event was Cincinnati 2023, a race where both of them came off the track heated at someone else. Like, you can make the argument, like, in football and basketball, there tends to be the term that the rivalry doesn't start until the other guy wins. And, you know, as much as this has been a very competitive battle between the two of them, to me, the rivalry doesn't start until Brian finally puts one on Joe. And we thought all the way until the last lap on Sunday that was going to happen. And it just didn't. And
Hey, Emery, the colonies didn't put one on the UK until the Boston Tea Party. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying here. The colonies didn't put one on the United Kingdom until the Boston Tea Party happened. So when Ryan beats Joe, be bigger than the Boston Tea Party. I'm telling you.
Oh
Anyway,
man,
sorry.
that's a new one for this show. That's crazy.
Proceed.
So to wrap everything up, you know, the Boston Tea Party happened in large part because of growing discontent between the American
Dude,
colonies and the British.
I don't need a history lesson. here, bro.
Hey, hear me out. Let me speak, Caleb. Let me finish this. If something happens in this rivalry, if we have the scary Ryan, as Riley Cam might say, this next race if Ryan wins, to me that's not the Boston Tea Party. That's the start of a good rivalry. If Ryan and Joe crash, that's the Boston Tea Party. Alex, continue.
There's not a whole lot to get into after that. I mean, that's it right there. I mean, you're right. I mean, to me, I'm still going to call it a rivalry because I consider at least 3 or 4 times Ryan has won the race. You look at Newcastle last year, had it won. I think even Supernats for a lot of that weekend, I thought he was going to be the guy to beat. I mean, he wasn't winning every single race, but Supernats was. I looked at him going to the final and saying, "This is Ryan's race," and then it went away from him because Turney, again, he's one of, if not the quickest driver right now in X30 in the world. But I think what Turney does so good at is making his moves count. He's always putting himself in the best position to win the race. We saw it at Supernats last year where everything started to unfold. Turney gets out to a lead. They battle behind him. He wins. He's done it time and time again. And every time he manages to be the guy that's first crossing the line. Every time. And that's what he does so well. And I think that's what Ryan needs to kind of adopt, right? Because that's what he's done throughout his career. Ryan was that guy. Ryan was Turney before Turney came over here. And now Turney's kind of stolen Ryan's thunder a little bit on the driving style of how on earth is this guy always the first one to cross the stripe? How does it happen? Even in races that you felt like it was lost, he wins. So I'm with Riley on this one. I think no matter what, Ryan's had a chip on his shoulder, but this one stings. This one hurts. I think this is the most he's been gutted since Newcastle, where you thought he had it won. This one at his home track, and he knows that he had the race won. He's going to remember this one. And that's why I said earlier, he's not going to let it happen again. To be honest with you, early predictions. Ryan wins round 3 and 4. I think he sweeps. I cannot see him losing to Turney again in Orlando this year. That's where I stand.
I like it.
That's where I stand.
All right. Anything to add, fellas? Okay. Other notables, actually, from X30. Let's dive into this. The rookies. We talked about that. They were impressive. Luke Welcome, Colin Lloyd, and James Overbeck was inside of the top 10 all weekend long. And honestly, they were pretty impressive all weekend. I don't know what you guys have to say about it, but they honestly, I think Colin Lloyd being there in the top 5 with these guys.
Yeah, I was gonna
After
say
the year he had in K Senior last year, he started off really good, and then it was up and down kind of from there where he found himself inside of the top 20, towards the back half of the top 20, and then to find himself well inside of the top 5, fighting with some of the best in the world. Honestly, super, super impressive. Luke Welcome as well. Hey, shout out Emery Lida. He predicted it. Round of applause. Everybody doubted him.
Hey, while we're on the topic of Luke Welcome, I want to say another guy that kind of flew under the radar in terms of rookie talk, and I think he's technically entered a couple X30 races, but Raheem Alibi, top 10 on
Yeah.
Sunday, top 10 both days in qualifying, inside the top 10. I think he's got some stuff to work through in terms of racecraft and the X30 side of things, but the pace was there, the decision making, he kept himself out of trouble. I mean, I think it was a banner weekend for a lot of these kind of either guys moving up from K or simply rookies as well. Like even the guys that didn't get the outright results. I mean, Chase Lee got a 6th place on Saturday and was super impressive.
Yeah.
Sunday, bad qualifying, had to kind of work his way through the field. We saw Enzo Vimontian kind of here and there being up towards the front at times, and then
Getting his
again,
elbows out.
yeah, elbows out, full on Caleb Viesca mode. And then, and then we see as well as that, like James Overbeck, Colin Lloyd, like for Colin to be in the top 5 consistently, really in the main event on Sunday, never lost sight of the leaders, is seriously impressive. And it's one thing to be up there in qualifying to kind of put in the good lap, to put in a good pre-final, but to be there throughout the main event, get a good result, I feel like is super impressive from Colin. And in general, we've been hyping up the rookies. We've said a lot about how good they were going to be. It's a deep class. And I think they delivered in rounds 1 and 2.
Colin Lloyd to me was the rookie of the weekend. I mean, his Saturday performance was so underrated, and I went up and told him that I feel like he went under the radar. I know he finished top 5, but as a performance goes, yes, Turney and Ryan were battling, and that was keeping the likes of Garrison and Lloyd there. But for Colin Lloyd to just at times he was the highest finishing speed concepts, and to be as quick, if not quicker, during the middle part of that race, then Ryan, then Turney. Yes, they were battling, but to just sit there and not lose sight of the leaders. He didn't finish more than maybe that straightaway back. Very impressive. I think Overbeck, he's not a senior rookie, but he's a 125cc rookie. He impressed me. He struggled a little bit with the package, and I think just overall the style of racing is different. That's what we've heard from a lot of the KA drivers that move up to X30, especially in the senior classes. Listen, you got to be perfect. In KA, you have the chance to make a mistake here and there because the style of racing is different. They're going to battle up front, and they're going to bring you back into play. The draft is more important, so you're going to be back. In X30, yeah, the draft is a thing, but the level of drivers that we see in X30 and just what's expected of you as a driver, you cannot make a mistake. You can, but that's going to severely impact your chances at winning the race. And that's what we saw from Ryan on the final lap. His pretty much his one mistake came on the last 2 corners, and he lost the race. Right? So Overbeck impressed me. Lee really impressed me. I mean, he was top 5 throughout all of happy hour, right? And then, he top 6 on Saturday. A bad qualifying set him back on Sunday, but that's all it takes, right? We mentioned it. Yeah. Bad qualifying, bad start, not being perfect can severely impact how your weekend goes.
Especially in the class that it is now.
Especially with what it is.
I think it's a lot harder with the star power that's in there.
It's as strong of an X30 field as I've seen in quite some time, and the rookies will only get better. Enzo is good. I think Enzo kind of maybe learned a bit about what it takes to race an X30 senior now, because I saw a couple of the veterans, get his elbows out with Enzo early to kind of say, you know what, welcome to senior, but also welcome to senior. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to let you do what you did in junior. And so for Enzo, I think now is a wake-up call, like, okay, because we all know he's fast. He showed it at Norberg Invitational last year in KA. We know he can be as quick as the senior drivers. I think his driving styles is going to have to adapt to it. So he impressed me for sure. And then Luke Welcome. I mean, an up and down weekend, but for one, I want to say it's my first time interviewing him. He became one of my favorite dudes in the paddock. He's such a positive guy, first of all. He was just excited to be a part of the class, and he was impressive. He was really fast. I mean, there were times maybe where, he was outside the top 10. Okay, he's a rookie, he's getting used to it. And then every once in a while in the pre-final and the final, he poked his way into the top 7, the top 6. And get a couple more X30 races under your belt. Luke Welcome's going to be a guy that we'll be talking about. I could see it as soon as rounds 3 and 4. Now that you have 2 rounds under your belt at Orlando, you go back to the same exact track. I can see him being a driver that could sneak his way onto maybe not a podium, but a top 5 is for sure possible for Luke. So, super awesome guy, first of all, to talk to, and interview. I love his positivity, and his driving style, I think, suits the X30 a lot. Emery called it last week. He said, listen, he's probably the most underrated guy that's entered into X30. And for me, at least, he impressed as far as I'm concerned.
Safe to say Alex is a personality guy. Hey,
I am.
Great.
Heavy
Honestly,
on the personality.
Honestly, yeah. Luke is a great kid. Emery, anything to add about the rookies that we saw?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, going back real quickly to Luke Welcome, and as well, I guess earlier with 3 Malavi too, it's important to note that like the Rocket Racing Company guys, this is kind of their first time dabbling into the X30 side of things. They ran a lot last year in KA. We've seen in the past with them running with ANSA as well. They've been mainly on kind of the shifter side and kind of avoiding the 125 stuff. But for them to be running as well as they were was super impressive. And again, I mean, I didn't speak too much on Luke Welcome because I kind of went through that last week. But I mean, to be as refined as he was, the run he had on Saturday in the pre-final was super impressive, getting all the way up to the top 3 before the red flag. For me, Luke Welcome was one of the kind of breakout stars of the weekend. And then again, I think it's not going to be the flashiest results for a lot of these guys at the start because of just how stacked this X30 category is. And you've got guys like Ryan that have been running at the front of the U.S. scene for 10 years, like Austin Garrison as well. Guys like Joe Turney and Caden McQueen have been up at the front of the international scene for years on end. Like, for someone like Luke Welcome to come in and mix it up with them, or Colin Wood to come in and be in that lead pack in the final, with this being basically one of his first ever 125 starts. And after, let's face it, for Colin, a difficult season last year, it's huge on the confidence. And again, it speaks to the kind of the depth of U.S. karting that we have and kind of the ability that we have throughout the field that we've seen over the course of the last few years developing. And I mean, any one of those guys in the top 15 or 20, they might not be consistently a Ryan Norberger or Joe Turney, but there's a lot of talented drivers throughout the X30 field and a lot of talented drivers in general that we saw this weekend.
Yeah. Well, lastly here, we have 5 minutes left here for the first segment, which is X30. Another thing I want to get into, what are we expecting to see for the Pro Tour, the regular season? We're obviously still missing a couple of big names from the West. When are we expecting to see them back? I think whenever we get to the grand state of Texas in Houston, I think that's when we'll see these guys back at Speed Sports Racing Park, Houston's high-speed playground. Also 45 minutes away from my house. So safe to say I'm excited. Hopefully these boys are just excited as I am. But yeah, I honestly think the Pro Tour is going to kick off, I think, better than it has ever been with the amount of star power that we have. Obviously, everything is just rumors now, nothing official, but everybody in the Winter Series now, I believe, is looking to run the Pro Tour. So you're probably going to get Olin Galley making his return. Caden McQueen, I believe, is supposed to do a full U.S. start. Not sure about Joe Turney, but how can you not, put the product up there? Also, what a great weekend for Jay Howard Driver Development on their first weekend back. I think they had more wins than any other team this past weekend. So we'll see, I guess, what the official verdict is whenever it comes down to it. Obviously, all rumors now that it's kind of starting to spread around the paddock, but who knows how it's going to be. Fellas, any thought, I guess, into looking from here to the Pro Tour?
I'm excited.
I'll start actually, because to me, there's, like Emery said, first of all, excitement, because it's only going to grow. If this was the entry count we got for Winter Series, I suspect even more maybe for Pro Tour, right? Winter Series usually have inflated numbers, but this is only the beginning, because like Caleb said, we're missing some teams. A lot of the West Coast teams, most West Coast teams did not show up, right? Which is normal. But first of all, I'm hoping some of them maybe show up for rounds 3 and 4 of Winter Series saying, you know what? We need some practice for Pro Tour. So don't be surprised if some of them decide to show up for rounds 3 and 4. But when Pro Tour kicks off, and we get, especially in the shifter class, we get GFC, Factory Kart, and more, and they're going to take up not only shifter, but they're going to have, you know, some 125, some 100cc's, some micros, some minis. So that's going to add already right there 25, 30 entries between those two classes most likely. So entry count's going to be high. I think Aura is going to be at an all-time high. I mean, it's going to be, to me, maybe the most anticipated Pro Tour.
Gen Z.
The most anticipated Pro Tour in quite some time. Last year was cool. We, you know, brought in the Pro Show, but this year, now, it's going to be as badass as it's ever been, and I'm pumped. I think, first of all, before I let Emery talk here, I want to bring up an interview from Mateus Morgado. I think he said something pretty interesting that I want to highlight.
Next. We'll do that in shifter. Next.
We can put it together, bro. All right. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Emery, you have a minute and a half. Oh, wait. Wrong camera angle. Sorry. Proceed.
1 minute, 15 seconds at this point. Anyways, as Caleb Vieska has mentioned, it is Pro Tour going out west. Expect to see many of the West Coast entries sort of rounding up there. I agree with Caleb's take on that. In the great state of Texas, you know, I have to mention that as well.
Bang!
But class by class, there's so many dynamic storylines. I mean, if we don't get Joe Turney in Pro Tour, that's going to suck. But X30, I'm very confident that the field is closing back together. We're going to see a few extra guys coming in as well. Don't forget the likes of Hayden Jones coming back. You have some more guys as well. You'll see, I'm sure, kind of a more refined package from Austin Garrison and others, really. I think X30 is in as healthy of a spot as it's been in recent memory. We saw a lot of good racing in shifter, but I think that this upcoming Pro Tour is going to be as close as we've seen on that side too, because between Danny Formal possibly coming back, we know Mateus Morgado will be back to defend his potential Pro Tour title. You have AJ Myers back in the fray. We saw him this weekend, but he wasn't racing. All the GFC boys, I mean, there's at least 25 karts, I would imagine. They're going to be in Pro Shifter, maybe 30. And really, I mean, even this weekend too, Gavin Bailiff did not finish that far off of the race lead. He was pretty competitive. We saw Alan Isambard, for the amount of turmoil he had to go through and changing chassis mid-weekend, put in a respectable performance. Like, the depth of the shifter field, the depth of the X30 field, it's there. We're going to get a good Pro Tour. We're going to Caleb's place in Speed Sports, and I'm excited to see it.
Bang! What a way to finish that off, Emery. Great. 18 seconds over, but I will allow it.
Hey, you cost me 15 seconds with the layout, so
my apologies.
I'll be 3 seconds late.
All right, quick commercial break. When we come back, everything about shifter that's coming up. And yeah, some more clips getting set to come your way. You're watching KC Grid Talk. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the 2-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today. All right, Welcome back to KC Grid Talk, episode number 39. I'm not going to say my name again because it's right under me. So I'm still Caleb Vieska, still Emery Lida, still Alexander Searle at the bottom because he's the shortest. Kidding. All right. In a shifter now. Mateus Morgado, Danny Formal, going back to a place that has. All righty, pal. You're distracting me now. Going back to a place that has a lot of history for the two of them. And yeah, they honestly put on a show this past weekend. Emery said that shifter was one of his favorite races. It was good for the first 5 laps. After that, it kind of slowed down a little bit. But yeah, it was honestly quite interesting. It was all about the Burrell Arts. I think we all saw that. TKG obviously moving over. Gavin Bailiff, like, he absolutely loved that new chassis. I don't know what you boys think about that, but he seemed comfortable over-undering a 4-time Supernats champion and a world champion. So Gavin Bailiff is now a world champion and a 4-time Super Nationals winner by my math here. So that's what I have. No, but he killed it. Also, a couple of guys were getting in the mix. Justin White was kind of getting in there. Vincenzo Saraceno also just kind of the bad luck from 2024 continues for him. Sad to see with all the pace that he had. And then another one of the big stories, the Rocket Racing Company kind of trying out the Maranello chassis as well. I think it was the OTK on Saturday. Alex, is that true?
No, it was OTK until Friday afternoon. After the third practice, Isambard said, listen, cannot get the OTK to rotate right now. And they didn't want to. It's interesting. They didn't want to take the risk on the OTK, so they took a bigger risk to go to the Maranello on a chassis that Isambard's never driven.
Mm-hmm.
And it's safe to say I don't think it really worked out for Alan all too much. So I'll be curious to see what they elect, if they test more on the Maranello or if they elect to go back to the OTK, which is usually what Rocket Racing's known for. I know Alan does a lot of testing down in Homestead, and he was testing the OTK all winter, but just could not get it to work for his driving style, for what they're setting up for, and tried the Maranello, didn't work. So again, it's kind of an unknown for Rocket Racing and for Isambard on what they're going to elect to go chassis-wise for rounds 3 and 4.
Emery, any thing to add about, I guess, shifter and just kind of initial thoughts before we dive into it?
Yeah, I mean, the final results don't look amazing for anyone other than Danny Formal, really. I mean, you look at Mateus, and I think he would have expected a little more, but in his own words, on Sunday, just felt like he didn't have it. And Saturday, he was mentioning that they kind of were building towards something that not everything you were going to see at Pro Tour. And I know we're going to get into that in a minute here by looking at his interview, but that was certainly curious. And you look down through the rest of the grid. I mean, Gavin Bailiff, I think respectable showing for his first weekend on the Burrell, at least on the shifter side of things. Alan Isambard, Alex basically described the situation perfectly. Last minute chassis swaps, usually when that happens, is a Hail Mary that often does not work. The Maranello guys were fast, but kind of had hiccups throughout the weekend. The depth of shifter, I think it's a Winter Series race. It's kind of understood that the shifter guys don't like to come out of their cabins until midway through February. So, I mean, look, I said it was an underrated race. For shifter standards, for Winter Series shifter standards, amazing.
Yeah, it's not as good as last year's. Yeah, sure.
For last year's Winter Series, I mean, the battle at the front sure was a bit better through 2 of the 4 races, but I don't know.
Hey, Winter Series last year, round 1 and 2, you had Isambard and Bailiff climbing over each other on a straightaway. That was kind of cool to see. But yeah, it was just like a little more. All right, well, bro. I guess not.
Do we call it cool racing or good racing? I think it was.
It was cool racing. It was cool. Racing. Yeah.
I mean, it was some fun. It was some fun World Star content, but like, I'm not.
I don't know ball. Sorry, I don't know ball. All right. Yeah,
it was talking. It was fun though. It was fun, definitely fun battles. But I think in general, Caleb, like last year, in terms of the drama and everything, was a bit of an anomaly. But you look back through the years of Winter Series, and Alex can attest to this as a native Floridian. Shifter's kind of been a bit dead in Winter Series.
It's never good.
Hey,
unfortunately. But
hey.
I'm hoping rounds 3 and 4 is better.
Year after year, people have talked about the shifter class, and it's a boring class to watch. Last year, shifter came back stronger than ever. You talk about the Super Nationals, the best race I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
But we're talking about Winter Series.
Okay, yeah,
this is a Winter Series conversation.
They're still hibernating.
Supernats is always awesome.
Yeah,
Supernats shifter is pretty much the best race every
the pinnacle
year.
of motorsports. You talk about Formula One, pro shifter. All right.
Anyways, let's roll the clip on the Mateus interview.
Yeah, let's roll the clips.
So it was just worse. I mean, it's a long championship. I just had to hold on there, you know. Can never give up a race, so just kept going and doing what I could. But every lap, I was feeling I was losing a lot of speed. But yeah, tomorrow's a new day. Congrats to Danny. He did a great job today, and we see tomorrow. All the team, everyone been looking really forward for the Pro Tour. This one we're just testing, so we have many things saved for Pro Tour that we put it yesterday. We saw it works, so it's not the time to put it yet, but we'll work on it. Yesterday was happy. I was really fast, and actually I should be today as well, but with the issue we might have had, it costed me a bit. But yeah, looking forward for tomorrow.
That's scary stuff. If you're the rest of the competition,
got me shaking my boots
to see what Burrell did to the field, and they're testing stuff that they think still is better than what they already did.
Yeah,
Emery, I'm curious to hear your perspective on it. What's kind of your opinion on testing things for the upcoming, Pro Tour season, but then not really using it, kind of keeping, some of your cards to yourself?
Let me translate that, Emery. What are they hiding?
I'm dubious of it. I'm not gonna lie. I think there certainly a couple things that maybe you're pushing the limits on when it comes to R&D. If you're Burrell and looking specifically on the engine side as well, you probably might be a little bit more conservative on different aspects of your power unit when it comes to Winter Series. But look, it's karting. We saw last year a Winter Series. Morgado came out rounds 3 and 4, looked absolutely dominant. And I'm not going to say that it didn't translate, because it obviously did, right? Like, he won just about every race. But guys tend to show their hands in karting, whether you like it or not. Like, I've seen way more examples of people saying, oh yeah, I have 310s hiding in the trailer. And then you see the next weekend, it never comes. Then I have teams legitimately hiding pace that they've found that they don't want to give away. I'm not saying it's not the case. I mean, to me, this is a separate point, but the arms race that we have currently in shifter between the GFC boys, between what we've seen PSL and Burrell Art doing, and then as well as that kind of a lot of the other brands and what they've done on the aerodynamic side of things and on some of the different cooling measures, is super impressive stuff. But to test something on Friday, and granted, Mateus was really quick on Friday, but Danny was still getting used to the kart. He was also on a Burrell. And let's face it, right? Like, Vincenzo Saraceno, Justin White, and Alan Issenbart are the only 3 other drivers outside of the guys in red that I would say are in their own, like, on the level of being kind of national contenders within that field. And of those guys, Vincenzo couldn't put together 2 sessions without something catastrophic happening. Alan changed the chassis mid-weekend from a chassis that's notoriously difficult to handle on a shifter in an OTK to one that he's never driven before midway through the weekend. Gavin Bailiff was on a brand new chassis this weekend. And Justin White had a strong weekend for his standards and ran on the podium on Sunday. Like, I don't want to say no competition, that's disrespectful to everyone, but when you look at kind of the field spread, I don't know. I don't see, I'm hesitant to say that Burrell has some like ace up their sleeve. And if this happens in 2 months and they come out and put 4/10 on the field in Pro Tour, then I'm glad, very happy to be proven wrong. I do think Burrell has one of the best packages. They've shown that year after year. Gavin certainly showed it this weekend, but I don't think that there's some magic carpet that Mateus is about to roll out heading into speed sports.
My only rebuttal to that is that Morgado was 4/10 faster than the field in happy hour. So whatever went wrong after Friday afternoon for Mateus is kind of an unknown, right? And obviously he's not going to say what went wrong. I mean, there was a bit of an engine issue on Saturday, but even Sunday didn't have the pace that we would have expected out of Mateus. But after happy hour, we thought, okay, wow, 4/10. Obviously, Danny was still getting maybe used to the Burrell chassis, but since Danny got out of bed Saturday morning, he was the fastest guy on the racetrack. So either he got a really good night's sleep on Friday, or they maybe took off something from Mateus, or both, to give Danny some credit, because obviously Danny is Danny Formal. But I do think last year Burrell was arguably the chassis to be on in shifter, and this year it's a really good start for them. I mean, look at Gavin Bailiff, right? I've been saying it for some time, and I think all three of us have at some point, that he is a very underrated shifter driver, right? He's in now his third year. The first year was getting your feet wet, just figuring it out. Last year he was quick. This year, considering it was a brand new chassis, he was awesome. Like, that thing was on rails. He damn near out qualified Morgado on merit on Saturday, right? So this is a driver that I can expect to get genuine podiums. He was robbed of a podium on Saturday when the hub sheared off the axle in dramatic fashion through the S's, and then Sunday was obviously impressive and got the podium. But for Gavin, I think this is going to be a really good year for him. And if Burrell now has even more of an arsenal with TKG and PSL, they're going to be tough to beat. Don't get me wrong. I think Magic, Factory, GFC, they're going to be rolling out, ready to go. And that's why I'm pumped for Pro Tour. Kind of going back to the whole, what are we excited for Pro Tour of the last segment? I'm pumped for Pro Tour.
All right, Alex, answer this. Agreed. This is on Gavin Bailiff.
I just think, simply put, it's experience in a shifter, right? It's a guy that has over, what is it? 15 years, right? 14 years maybe in a
Talking about
shifter.
Danny?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Versus
probably more
Bailiff.
than that, dude. No, wait, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Danny's
it's got to
not that
be.
old. My apologies,
But Danny was also a part of the mini shifter years as well. So he's been banging gears since I could
Forever.
speak.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the biggest difference for me. I think Gavin will get to a point where, listen, if you give him a 2-second lead, Danny's not going to surmount that. I think no matter what, and who knows? I think also, I spoke to Gavin after the race. They missed it on pressures, because on the Saturday main event, when the lights went down, it was kind of hard to predict. So this was the time of day and the track surface and the air temp that we hadn't seen all weekend, maybe closer to what we saw in happy hour. And Gavin said, listen, we went out on too high pressures and the kart went away. And that's why he shot out like a cannon to start the race, and it kind of fell off. And maybe exaggerated by the fact that Danny was just rolling this weekend. But I want to say that was pretty much the answer to it, right? You have a guy that's been driving shifter for the last 15 or so years versus a guy that's in his third year, just starting his third year, his first year on the chassis, first race on the chassis.
Yeah.
I think, say Supernats rolls around and Gavin's 2 seconds clear of Danny Formal for the lead of the race, I don't think he loses the race.
This is also probably one of Danny's strongest tracks too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Orlando is a tailor-made Danny Formal track.
Okay. Before you proceed, I'm gonna cut you off here because I don't think anybody was just had eyes locked on Danny like I did on Saturday night. He was driving like a man possessed, absolutely flying over the chicane in the last corner. Like, goodness gracious, like 6 seconds on Mateus, and obviously he had an issue, but the way Danny was driving was just like scary to watch. Like, just like it was poetry, adjusting on the brake bias down the short straightaway that you have before the chicane, like everything about his drive at Orlando on Saturday night was magical. If you want to go to Disneyland and see Mickey Mouse, nah. Like you want to go to Orlando and see Danny Formal put some laps in around that racetrack. Like that's how good it was. And my analogies tonight have kind of been missing, but that one I feel like was a pretty good one. All right, I'm done. You guys got next. Alex, bro, stop, bro. Just
What am I doing?
you were gonna laugh at me, bro. That's not nice.
You're just funny, bro.
I'm a funny guy, dude. I don't know what to say.
No, but I agree because
It was
because there wasn't a whole lot to watch in that Saturday main event.
yeah.
I had my eyes on Danny the whole time. For one, nighttime shifter races, you get sparks. I love sparks. All right, but then watching Danny, I mean, even on the last lap,
Yeah.
hit every single curb, driving like it was the first lap of the main event. And he was starting last.
Dude.
Right, like he doesn't turn off. It is from lap 1 to lap 20. It is the same Danny Formal, and I love it.
And the consistency of it all was, I think, by far the most impressive part about it. And Alex, you can attest to this, but whenever you're coaching a kid that's kind of coming up through the ranks, what's one of the things that they teach them about going faster on a racetrack? Going
Consistency is
fast
number one.
every single lap. And that's exactly what you get with a driver who's been doing this for 15 years plus in the same engine package. And like he did just that. And he showed why he's one of the best. Well, the best in the US, I would say, shifter driver that we kind of have today. And yeah, he killed it. It was from start to finish. Like that was, I think, one of the best drives that we're going to see in a very long time. Performance of the year. Performance of the year.
There's an argument already. I hope he comes back for rounds 3 and 4. I know he alluded to it a little bit in the interview, and we could roll that tape here in a second. But I know he alluded to it that it's still up in the air for rounds 3 and 4. But let's just roll the tape on this interview.
On lockups, so did Anthony yesterday, and yeah, Mateus went for a pass on me to turn 2 after Gavin did an awesome under over me in turn 1, and he locked up twice. Locked up under passing me and also locked up going into Justin. So Gavin got a nice gap, but we've had great pace all weekend. The cart's been fantastic. Yeah, and the cart just woke up really strong about lap 5, and then kind of shut off in lap 11. And I saw Mateus coming, and I just started cranking as much front brake as I could, and the car woke up quite a bit again towards the end of the race, and I was able to gap Mateus a bit. So really grateful, 2 for 2, and a perfect weekend.
No donuts after this one. Is this a sign that maybe you're going to run rounds 3 and 4 and want to save the package a little bit?
I can't really say much more because I don't know. But yeah, it's not my package. I know doing donuts is not great for the crank, and I don't want to make Tom open the crank up. The go-kart's been fantastic, obviously, and the engine power being on a TM is it's very nice to drive. So grateful, and yeah, maybe see me back in February.
Oh, anyways, watching that interview reminded me a little bit about one of LeBron's post-game interviews where he like goes back play by play on what happened in that in the game. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I've seen
he's
that.
just like photographic memory of everything. Seeing Danny is like, yeah, lap 1, this is exactly what happened. Lap 5 locked up here, locked up that corner. Lap 11, felt this way in the cart and then did whatever, and then just kind of woke up and this guy's the LeBron of go-karting, man.
I love interviews like that in all sports because it shows you it's always the guys at the top of their game that can do that.
Yeah.
Because it's slowed down for them. It's easy.
Yeah.
Right? Which is scary. But in a shifter, the fastest cart you can drive, it has slowed down for him, which understandably so. He's been driving it for so long that nothing probably feels quick. It'll still wear you out a little bit. I saw Danny was a little bit worn out after the Saturday race. But he can process things before it happens. Everything is slowed down for him, and it just comes. You can kind of come to the sense that okay, this guy really is, he understands his craft to the nth degree, right? I mean, this is the guy, and that's why, to your point, Caleb, I think he is probably the best shifter guy, at least out of the States, right? He's the best American shifter driver right now. I know he's Costa Rican, but he's a Florida/Costa Rican boy, as he likes to call himself. So out of the States, I think he's right now the guy to beat. But let's see what Mateus can do for him in rounds 3 and 4.
Last thing to add before I hand it off to Emery. I think Danny's Danny being that good in a shifter is what kind of makes him so good in a car. Like he said this time and time again. And that one episode we had with DeFilippi and
And Danny.
and
Yeah.
Danny, when we had the way those two guys talk about shifter, I think shows you why those two guys are so good in a car and why we're seeing a lot more of the young guys start to kind of just start their journey in shifter. Lucas the Longchamps started this past weekend with PSL. Anthony Martella has a full season at USF, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I know ball. Anthony Martella is driving for Jay Howard Driver Development this weekend coming up, or not this. That's wrong. I don't even know. Just this season. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. All right, flowing thoughts. Yeah, but like that's what makes him so good in cars now. And imagine if they're going 100 miles an hour down a straightaway in a shifter cart where everything's going fast. You're banging gears here, there. Imagine just what they feel like in a car. Everything, I bet you, is so much slower, and they understand it way much better. I'm done yapping. Emery, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much that. I mean, I won't say that it's the reason they're fast. I mean, both Danny and Connor worked a lot to get to where they're at, and I think both of them, there's a lot more that goes into driving a car than just simply being good at a shifter car. But like anything, shifter is the most applicable form of kart racing when it comes to driving a car. I think that the arguments about the line choices and whatnot and teaching bad habits in terms of the way you attack corners is kind of flawed, because from a pure sense, shifter racing is the most complex form of kart racing there is. And in cars, a lot of the time, you're having to manage a lot of different things, a lot of different aspects of feeling out the car, feeling out kind of the weight transfer and everything.
The line changes a lot throughout a race in a car.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of different like management styles that you have to kind of keep track of in a car that in basic single speed racing you don't really have as much of. And so that side of shifter kart racing translates, and then also the physicality of it too. Like shifter racing beats people up. Even guys that are in really good shape, even guys that have driven them for years and years and years, still come out of a shifter race feeling like they've just gotten out of a battlefield. So shifter, very applicable. I think Danny Formal, one of, if not the best to do it in the U.S. And again, hopefully we get to see a lot more Danny in 2025. I know Winter Series rounds 3 and 4 are up in the air a little bit, but I mean, for him to be able to put a beat down on Mateus throughout the weekend was super impressive. And I think Mateus Morgado, after last year, still riding the high of basically as close to a perfect season minus Supernats as you're going to get. But I mean, it sets up for an exciting 2025 season. And again, Mateus Morgado, he's certainly proved himself. This time last year, remember, Danny swept round 1 and 2. Mateus came back, won rounds 3 and 4. So it's not like it can't happen again, but certainly Danny Formal off to one of the best starts that you can see in 2025.
Bang! Danny says thank you. No, thank you, Danny. We appreciate you. All right. I forgot what I was gonna say here.
Way to go!
Shout out Danny.
Hey, shout out Danny. Shout out Danny.
He's got Caleb speechless, man.
Got me blushing over here. No, I'm playing. Here, I found it. All right, next, what are we expecting to see for the Pro Tour? Obviously, we still haven't seen kind of everybody yet. We're still missing, obviously, Billy Musgrave, everybody from the West, the GFC boys, Michael Avancino as well. Hopefully, I think he's returning this year. Not sure. But we're still missing a lot of guys coming into it. Fellas, we saw how strong the shifter class was last year. What are you guys kind of expecting to see, I guess, this year coming up?
Well, I mean, we saw, for one, probably one of the more fun shifter fields last year, and the growth is only going to get better, right? And so I mentioned it earlier, Burrell is off to a great start, but we haven't seen the West Coast guys come over yet. I think Billy and the entire factory operation is going to come out swinging. GFC is going to be good. Magic is going to be good.
Oh yeah.
And I want to say, I know there's talks about maybe we want to see some of the Magic boys rounds 3 and 4. So I hope so, right? For a little bit of a warm up for Pro Tour. So that would be really cool to see. But for Magic in general, if we don't see them at rounds 3 and 4, AJ, always one of the guys to be always one of the best to ever do it out of America, right? So I think those 3 teams, there's a couple other drivers that haven't, made their 2025 start yet in KZ, but I think that'll be good. And then obviously in X30, Ryan, hopefully Turney's able to run. And then you have the likes of, the rest of the field, right? Ramos, underrated throughout the entire weekend. Garrison's definitely going to be better, I think, even starting rounds 3 and 4. And Garrison was good. Garrison had a very quiet top 5 sort of weekend. He just wasn't there for the win. And the rookies are going to get better. They're only going to get better. They're not going to get worse. They're going to be better. Overbeck's going to get better. I hope to see Colin Lloyd more on the field. Enzo is going to get better, right? Chase Gasset Lee is going to improve. All these rookies are only going to figure it out. And in as good of a field as X30 Senior is, the learning curve is exponential, right? So like you figure it out, and then all of a sudden it climbs like crazy. And I think one of these races, probably pretty soon, is going to click, and we're going to have 3, 4, 5 more drivers in the fray, contending for a win. And that goes all the way down to the KA classes, into the mini and the micro classes. It's only going to get better. The racing's going to get better. And again, we start the year at one of the best racetracks to me for just head-to-head battle in speed sports. I think it races fantastic.
Aww.
So I can't think of a better way to start the year than going to speed sports for the Pro Tour, kind of East Coast versus West Coast, as it should be. I love to see the West Coast guys come out because to me they have some of the best drivers, some of the best chassis, and especially in KZ, it's going to be awesome.
Emery, I guess we're talking Pro Tour here and rookies.
So we already talked about a very historical reference in the Boston Tea Party. So, there's a famous battle in Texas, the Battle of the Alamo.
Bang!
Now let me tell you, it did not take place in Houston. However, I think what we're gonna see at Speed Sports is gonna be a battle. I think there's a lot of the East versus West Coast side of things that we're gonna see this year. Oh, Caleb just disappeared for a second. But no, it's going to be an exciting battle. I mean, we've already talked a lot on this podcast about how excited we are for 2025 and how much we expect to see battling in the shifter and X30 side. But more than anything, the tracks are going to be nice. Orlando provides some great racing.
I can't with Caleb, dude. You can continue, Emery.
I can't even. What is?
Continue.
Wow.
I can't.
Nah,
dude.
we're already bringing him back.
Look, I tell you what, when we get to the great state of Texas in a couple of months' time, it's going to be the best racing that we've seen in a very, very long time. I have my cowboy hat on. This is Beaver. Very, very expensive on my head. We're going to see some great racing at the great state of Texas. I'm excited. Sorry for cutting you off there, Emery, but yes, Pro Tour is going to be back better than ever. Talk about the westward expansion. If you want to talk about history, we're going west, baby, to the Wild West. Houston, Texas. That's all I got.
SKUSA should make a commercial off of that. That's all I need.
Hey,
that's unreal. Hey, you better wear your cowboy boots too.
Nah, I can't walk around in them things all day, man.
I'm gonna get a pair. I meant to get a pair when I was there last year. I'm gonna get a pair this year.
I'll take you to Cavender's, dude. Have a great time in Cavender's.
I don't even know
it's like it's like a Walmart for cowboy boots, and it's just a Walmart for cowboys, pretty much. Hey.
All right, we're going for sure.
KC crew gonna wear some boots in Houston. It's been decided already.
Your accent sucks, dude. I tell you what.
Damn,
all right,
brother.
Emery, finish your point so we can go to commercial and we could go to the last segment here.
I have no more points to make. I think it's gonna be exciting racing.
Bang.
I think we've got the #1 spokesperson for kart racing in Texas on the show, providing great insight analysis on what to see in speed sports. And we're going to show up in about 2 months' time with our cowboy boots and our cowboy hats, and it's going to be
Hey,
exciting.
Caleb, is it too early to announce the announcer lineup for TSRS?
Yeah, it's too early. It's too early.
It's too early. Too early. All right.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
too early. We're still working on that.
Classified
Tuesday.
information.
Hey, stop eating the mic. Hey, anyways, the Texas Sprint Racing Series is going to be back in the grand state of Houston for round number 1. And I believe that's going to be a banger weekend also, kind of lining it up for the Pro Tour. So that's going to be a good weekend. But we're excited to be back. The Pro Tour is coming up. A lot more coming up. We have some special news. We're moving. We're moving out. Alex Emery, myself, and Casey Gridtalk, we're moving out of our current program. We'll get more into that here after this quick commercial break. Somebody play my commercial so I can take this thing off my head.
All right, on it.
We'll see you guys on the other side. Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this branding business, okay? Branding this, branding that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
DPK Americas is bridging the gap between the U.S. and the 2-time world champion DPK Alonso Kart factory team in Europe.
In partnership with Team Binnick, they offer drivers a complete career path from the Americas to Europe that allows them to continue their driver development on both sides of the world, all underneath the DPK umbrella.
For more information, contact DPK Americas at max@drivensm.com to take the next step in your driver development journey today. All right, we're back. Here, last little bit of segment. So you have some special news. Also, we've been very, and I want to exaggerate the very here, busy behind the scenes prepping something for you guys here in the next week. Hopefully, we have our official launch in partnership with the Xander Clements podcast. A very special show coming out next week with obviously the 3 of us. And Kyle Cuthbertson and Xander Clements next week. Hopefully, I think Tuesday, I think is when we're scheduling. Unconfirmed, but this is happening, and we are going to have a very, very cool show coming your way to everybody. I guess a little bit of a preview with Xander himself, with Kyle as well, and with the 3 of us to kind of preview what we have going on this year, what's new, what's going to change, direct from the boss. So yeah, it'll be a cool show for us in collaboration with them. And we've been very, very busy. We have some cool stuff also coming y'all's way. You guys saw the new camera angles, everything that's new. And this is all, I guess, the hard work that we've kind of done over, I guess, the past 39 episodes, fellas. It seems like it seems like it hasn't been that long, but it's been about a year. Yeah. It's been about a year, and, we've been at work this past week. We got some very cool stuff coming. This is going to look a lot different. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
These guys are excited. It's going to look pretty. I don't use that word, but it's going to look pretty.
Purdy.
Hey, purdy's the better word to use.
Hey, purdy. Nah, I mean, we've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes to get ready for it. I think that it's going to be a new look show. Got a lot of different things. We're still kind of testing out final final checks in the system, so to speak, to get ready for next week. But I mean, again, changing the game, as Caleb loved to used to say.
Hey,
Like, it's a new dawn. It's a new day.
It's a new dawn. It's a new day. And I'm feeling. Is that that's a song, right? That's a song. That has to be the song.
It is.
Yes, that is.
You got it.
I'm not getting us copyrighted again. That's what we're gonna. I was one of my outs in 2025.
Your
That was one of my
voice.
outs.
Your voice is not good enough to get copyrighted.
All right. All right. All right. Hey, we're talking about ins and outs for 2025. What was y'all's? I never asked. Alex, what's some of your ins and what's some of your outs for 2025? Real quick, we'll do a fun little.
You talking about like resolutions?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I'm
trying to get. I want to get like you, bro. Jacked. All right. I know our boy Riley Can's been in the kitchen and the gym. All right. I'm trying to get like him. This
out
is
of control.
This is KC gym year. All right. All of us are gonna work together on this one. All right. We're all gonna get swole. So for sure in the gym. And then for me, actually, on a personal end, I want to do like more content stuff. So I want to post more reels on my Instagram, like do better.
Hey, I saw that. Hey, I saw that.
Thank you.
Influencer, man. Niche internet micro celebrity.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
Great guy all around.
And then outs. What are the outs? Fast food. It's hard on weekends when we're traveling, but as best as I can, I'm trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
No more 3 times a week Chick-fil-A.
Only 2 times.
Only 2 times, baby. So, all right. Ins. Let's see. Well, like Alex, in the gym. I mean, I've had Trey and PitFit doing a phenomenal job with me over the last few years. Heavy on the water bottle, by the way. Awesome water bottle from them.
Dude, this guy's great.
But no, definitely in the gym as much as possible. I have my car back. The opportunity to continue driving back to the gym. Very nice now. I've been using that in Chapel Hill. So awesome on that. Into the gym. Hopefully into the front a little bit more in kart races, man. I mean, that was gone. That was out in 2024.
Hey, you passed AJ Myers.
Hey,
I did pass
in the
AJ
red, in the wet,
in the rain, man. In the rain. But no, hopefully in on that sense. Hopefully into law school. I mean,
bang.
That's the goal there. And then let's see. On some outs. Man. I mean, standing on buses, bit of an out for me on that one. Man,
I don't think I copy.
But I don't think I want to know. Proceed.
I'm surprised you didn't pick up on that.
I
But,
think boxes are out, huh, Emery?
Boxes are a massive out, man. I mean,
they're in. This guy killed it. The other day. Right, proceed.
For those who don't know, Emery struggled last year taping a box together, and so it's always been an inside joke.
But he did it this past weekend.
Wait, I have one more. Out with StreamYard.
Bang!
Out with StreamYard.
Get ready to learn VMix, buddy.
Also, I guess now is the time to kind of do it, right? Welcome, I guess, on to the creative side of the show, Riley Can. Round of applause for Riley Can joining the show. This is an official announcement. Great to have Riley Can on. He's going to be behind the scenes, and he's going to kill it. Already kind of gotten to work and spreading some ideas. So that'll be some good stuff. Ins and outs for me. Couple of ins. Hopefully more money. I don't know. I guess that would be good. Couple of ins. I want to cook more at home. Make my bed every day. I didn't make it yesterday, so I was like kind of sad. But I woke up this morning. Best believe I made my bed. So making my bed every morning. Been going to the gym a lot. So yeah, we're being productive. I think another one of my ins. I want to get the Meta Ray-Ban glasses and kind of do like a behind the scenes.
I meant to get that for myself for Christmas because I want to like do like interviews with them.
Yeah. Okay. So that I want Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I want to do like content stuff like that. Be like a little bit of a niche internet micro celebrity. Dude, there was another one. Oh, I want waders in 2025 so I can go duck hunting and actually like get in the water. That is just very random. But yeah, that's just some Texas stuff that you get when you live in the state of Texas, and I want waders. So that'll probably be like a next week thing. Yeah. So
Hey, rest in peace, Ducks, bro.
and hopefully myself back in a cart. I haven't driven a go-kart since I flipped earlier this year. So yeah. Yeah, and that's just all with getting more money. Hopefully I win the lottery and we can, I don't know, figure something out. But yeah, that's going to be an in. A couple of outs, fast food on weekends, just eating better on KC weekends, I think is one of the big things. And then just living a better life, just wholesome.
Hey, shout out Caleb. He cooked for us on Saturday. So round of applause for
Bang!
Caleb.
Literally,
round of applause for me. I actually
high quality
I cooked.
tacos.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I made tacos. Anyways, yeah, it was a good weekend. And I'm excited to be back. We got some cool stuff coming up. I think for us, this is a time to kind of say goodbye to the software that we're using now. See you hopefully one day. Hopefully not. I was
No.
going to say VMix crashes, but hopefully not. But yeah, we'll be good. Are we good here, fellas? We good here? We have like a minute and a half to spare.
I'm good.
Oh, we're good.
I want to say I never mentioned on the shout out to the rookies, Sebastian Garzone and Ty Fisher. Absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it in KA Senior. They're gonna win some races this year for sure and contend for
100%.
championships. So shout out Sebastian Garzone, Ty Fisher.
Yeah.
And I'll give my last shout out of the episode, Lucas Palacio.
Yes.
Youngest ever junior winner youngest ever modern junior winner in the U.S., winning just past his 11th birthday. Difficult start to the weekend for him, but day 2 in X30 found a way to win after penalties and after driving a phenomenal race up through the field. So great job from Lucas there. Got to sit on the plane next to him on Monday. That was a little bit sketchy. If you know, you know. We had a bit of a issue on our flight, but all is well. Lucas is off to Italy now and off to race in Europe for 12 weeks. So it was nice to see him kind of make his official junior debut, I guess, and kind of started off the year with a bang.
Yeah. I guess my last shout out to all the Texas boys this past week. You guys killed it. These guys obviously know I was going to say that, but yeah, shout out to all my Texas boys. They honestly did a really, really good job. These are boys that we kind of see at the Texas Fin Racing Series all the time, and they are killing it on the national level this year. And they really, really made us proud out here. But yeah, that being said,
hey, if we're shouting out states here, shout out Florida. Kolar got pole.
I was going to say boo, but no, yes.
All right, yeah, Kolar got pole. Yeah. Burgess, Benja, Lennox, all the Florida boys absolutely killed it this weekend. There's probably something I forgot. Colin Lloyd, awesome. So Chase Gassiet Lee, awesome. So yeah, good job. Shout out 305. Or even if you're not from Miami, shout out Florida.
Bro's basically Pitbull. Also, he's from NOLA, but we claim him. Tyrone Kemper Jr. killed it, put it on the pole in his second full junior season. So shout out to him too. But anyways, I have homework to do, sadly.
Me too.
Me too.
Thanks for the reminder, actually.
I'd love to be here all night, guys, but I have homework to do. Get ready to learn physical anthropology, buddy. Yeah. So this is great. Anyways, KC Grid Talk episode number 39, done and dusted. Round of applause. Shout out Arizona. But yeah, this is great. Fellas, good luck in your week of studies. For those of you at home, have a very, very blessed week. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully a little different than what we saw this week. But thank you guys for joining us for episode number 39. We'll see you next week.